I know that your company made the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the United States 6 times in a row.
It actually started out in psychology because I really wanted to know how people think and like get into the minds of people, etc.
If I ask you 1 to 3 mistakes that you think business owners make, what do you see those mistakes as, especially from a growth or scalability standpoint?
Number 1 is the wrong people. Number 2 is the wrong processes. And number 3 is not having goals or goals that are trackable.
We have this initiative where we say adapt or die. Like, you have to adapt as a business owner. The only weapon that you have as a small business owner or an entrepreneur that wants to innovate is the speed of your execution and the speed of your learning process and the speed of your productization.
Now, we are in an aggressive industry. When we got in, it was fun. It's still fun, but like when we got in, it was wild, wild west. We made the rules. We're not making the rules anymore.
Who's making the rules? So Shay, I've known you for about 5 years or so now. We joined EO together. We were a new forum that was established from new members that joined EO. And this was actually right during COVID and what was happening at those times. I know that you run an agency. I know that you are a genius marketer. I know that your company made the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the United States 6 times in a row. Talk to us about your journey. How did you get started? How do you build something that's so self-sufficient and sizable within a short amount of time like that?
Yeah, you know, it's funny how I got into digital marketing. I never really thought I would be. I always knew I'd be like an entrepreneur, but I'm from Michigan originally. I grew up helping my mom around the house, doing landscaping outside, and she basically told me, like, you need to make money. I didn't, but she told me I needed to learn how. And I'd owned small businesses like my mom helped me with, lemonade stands, all that growing up, but like she had me do landscaping for neighbors and go door to door and say, can I pull the weeds? Can I trim the bushes? Not lawn mowing, like landscaping. So basically, I learned these skills on how to landscape, and when I went to college, I went for advertising. I actually started out in psychology because I really wanted to know how people think and like get into the minds of people, etc. And about 3 years in, I realized there's no money in psychology, but there's money in selling things to people because of their psychology. So advertising is the direction I went. So what was interesting is that I had a landscape construction company that I started, had a handful of friends working for me in the summers. It was a great summer business, but what I learned in college, I got to apply while I was working in my business. So while all my peers just got to get theory, I got it in real life. And so all the winters, all that, I would build a website and build all my assets. And then when summer would hit, I'd go full bore. And I was at the time a 19-year-old kid looking like he owned a $20 million landscaping company online. And when I showed up, they were impressed with me. They were impressed with our pricing, how fast we could do things. And I grew this landscaping company to be pretty big pretty quickly by the time I was 22. Well, I didn't want to live in Michigan, didn't want to be a landscaper my whole life. So I gave my company to my best friend, moved down to Florida 10 years ago. When I got down here, I worked for another marketing agency, and I was doing cold call, door-to-door sales, and I was trying to figure out what to do. I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to work for someone else, so I was going to restart my landscape construction company. So 2-3 months of research, finding the trucks, the equipment, etc., and my father told me, you're really good at marketing, why don't you do that for other people? I had like 2 or 3 clients I had on the side. I was like, all right, Dad, I'll try it. He like begged me. I said, I'll try it. And so this was the try 10 years later. So I'm very thankful my dad pushed me in this direction, but from the beginning it was sales. It was how many clients can I bring on, how much service can I provide, how much value can I provide, and I didn't even have line items. I would just pick a number, you're gonna pay me $700 a month, and I'll try and do as much as I can for these people. That's how it started. And about a year and a half in, I had about 35 clients of my own. I was doing sales during the day, filming at night, and I couldn't do it anymore on my own. So I hired someone to take off from me what I hated the most and did not enjoy the most, and wasn't good at, which was like the social media, just the general postings. And so as I kept scaling, I would always hire people to do the things that I didn't like, that I didn't enjoy, and that I wasn't good at. And so over those years, we just kept building, and we had one thing in mind at all times. And it was crazy I thought this way, because even sometimes today I forget this. But back then, when I knew nothing, I never built a company like this, I said, if we can't do this for infinity clients, we can't do this at all. And so all our processes from the very beginning were scalable, unintentionally and intentionally, but we never had to go through the pain of like re-platforming or getting new software, or doing this or doing that, because from day one, I said, if it can't work infinity times, it can't work at all. And we would give up clients if it didn't fit in the box. We would give up certain services, etc. So you talk about the time it took to scale. There's really three things involved. The right people, which some of it was skill, but a lot of it was luck. There was the right processes, which I don't know where I heard that before, but somehow I picked it up and I made it something from day one, that infinity times thing. And number three was sales. I'm a sales animal. I can fit 25 meetings in a day. I can turn around a proposal in minutes. I can pitch it with passion, and we can deliver. And so those three things combined really allowed us to be one of the fastest growing companies in America 6 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting the way that you put that story. You kind of stepped into it. You didn't know if you wanted to do it or not. And it's actually similar to my story when I was working for this agency. This is back in 2006. There was this agency called NetSpace, and they had franchisees all around the United States. And I ended up meeting my ex-business partner, Arthur Cooper, and we started Optimum 7 together. He was a franchisee for New York, New Jersey. And he came to me and he said, well, I have all these clients. This other company is going bankrupt. What am I going to do with all these clients? I don't know marketing. And at the time, I was working as a marketing director for that company. So he comes to me and he's like, all right, well, I have these clients. I have this much revenue. Can you help me? And I thought in my head, like, yeah, I know how to do marketing. I've done marketing as a marketing manager before, but I've never dealt with clients. So I told him, I literally remember doing this. I told him, all right, well, I'm going to need $7,000 a month. And he said, okay, I don't have to get paid. Let's build this business. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, at least worst case scenario, I make that money for 6 months and then I'll run it into the ground. And 17 years later, here I am with Optimum 7. I ended up growing the company, buying him out, right? It's so crazy. So from your story, what I hear is processes, hyper-focus, as well as, you said, luck and the right people. So my question is, what do you think the decision-making process for committing to something is? Because in the beginning, you're not committed to it. You're a young guy. You kind of know business, and it sounds like from what you've explained, the landscaping business, it sounds like you figured out the online thing right then and there where nobody knew about it, and then you built the right processes to build confidence for the buyer or for the customer, so that your experience, your user experience was better than everybody else's who were probably left 30 years prior, right? So what do you think that the decision-making process for business owners, entrepreneurs to commit is? When do we actually commit to a specific execution or specific growth process?
That's a really great question. I think that I know it's different for everyone, but ultimately you have to be committed to your goal. And a lot of business owners don't have goals. They're running their business day to day and just hoping it works, they're profitable, or they're doing good work, but they have to have a goal. So when I first talk with business owners and I get them on the phone, I ask them what their goals are. Most of them don't have it, but we'll define it on that call. The goals are not difficult to create. You're getting 10 new patients a month, you want to get to 20? Great, why? What's a patient worth? Let's break it down. But goal setting is number one for a business owner. And once you have those goals set, it's what's it going to take to get there. Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it operations? Is it a combination of all three? Usually it is. And that's when you know you commit full bore, because then you have a plan. Then you have a path that you're going that you can actually analyze and track.
So you're consulting and you're creating the gap, right? When you have a growth plan, when you have a scalability plan, and when you can hold a business owner accountable, then you've created the gap. Here is where you are, here is where you need to be. But this is a very unique skill set, because not only you do this from a sales standpoint, you also do that from a marketing and execution standpoint. So talk to us about that hyper-focus. You said you're a sales animal, right? How long has this been going on? Is that the only thing you focus on?
So I have been mainly focused on sales since day one. And my whole life I've been focused on sales. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm great at. I understand people, I understand what they want, I understand how to give it to them, and you understand all the things that surround a sale that have nothing to do with the sale, which is one of the most important things. So today, my role is primarily focused on meeting with new clients, understanding their goals, creating a custom proposal that's going to fit those goals, and then leaving it to my team for execution. I've gotten, I keep saying lucky even though I don't believe in luck, so I think a lot of it's just putting yourself out there enough for good things to happen to you and having a positive mindset. But I have really great people that they execute on those plans. They evaluate the processes. They know the level of service that we're providing and know how to raise that level of service when it's not hitting the mark. And it has allowed me to focus just on sales. But really with sales, it's understanding what they're really trying to accomplish. I mean, you're in marketing too. The worst thing you want to hear from someone is, I want SEO, or I want this, I want that. Why? Most of the time, they're just saying something that they heard. They don't actually know what they need. That's our job.
And talk to us about how you have adapted. I mean, you're a service-based business, it's an agency, very tough business to convince people to pay you every single month for a service that is intangible. You're basically saying, hey, cut me a check and maybe I'll do something for you.
Literally.
Yeah,
and my service agreements say that.
Yeah.
Cut me a check and I promise nothing and maybe it'll work.
Yeah, so, you know, the sales side of it, of course, with experience and with overabundance of proof and testimonials and video testimonials, and I looked at a lot of the ads you have. I've seen a lot of the testimonials. I did go to your Facebook page and look at the spy on your ads that you're doing, right? Like, you're doing all these videos, you're selling, you are communicating about the services. But how many times do you feel like, 0 to 10 million plus is a big jump, right? How many times do you feel like you had to reinvent yourself in your company?
It was at 15 people, 25 people, 50 people, and around 85 people, about 4, maybe 5 times. And it was people-based because that's when the hierarchies changed. That's when people got more skilled in their role and we created like seniors in certain positions when they were just mid-levels or juniors. It was really people-based. And the people came with the revenue. So it's just how much revenue could you bring in with a lower amount of people before you hit that scale, you know, that ceiling where you had to reinvent in certain ways.
Mm-hmm. So you basically broke down the profitability of the company. You looked at what the output levels for every single team member were, right? What they can manage from an MRR
time
standpoint.
involved in each project and all the things that go into the project, their collaboration time, the client-facing time, and you know, created a price point that was good in the market and good for us.
Now, as you reinvent your company at these different levels, yet, like you said, 15 people, 25 people, I think you said 50 and then 85, right? As you are reinventing, how does the technology play a role in this? New platforms are coming up, new technology stacks are coming up. You're doing website with WordPress, now you're doing websites with Webflow. You didn't have TikTok before, now you have TikTok. Who does that product innovation?
It's ground up and top down. It's both. So there's things that I hear that I bring to my directors below me that I want them to bring to the managers, the rest of the team. There's things that team members hear that they bring up to us so that we can all collaborate. But it's a culture of constant innovation from a technology standpoint, a service offering standpoint, a pricing standpoint, a holistic standpoint as far as how all the services work together, a sales standpoint. So there's always just feedback going up and down the chain as far as how things should be running. And with the world that we're in marketing, it's changing so fast, you need that. Otherwise, you'll be behind very quickly. I mean, we've seen our competitors. There's people who are running things like it's 2017 still. And that happens very quickly in our world.
If you came to me and if you asked me, hey, Duran, what is the fundamental concept that you believe in? If I asked you the meaning of life, I would probably tell you something like a learn, grow, teach framework, right? You first learn, and then you grow with that knowledge, and then you give it away, you teach. Everything that I do revolves around this concept. If I ask you the same question, if I say, what is the fundamental idea or concept of your life, what would you say?
Well, you gave me a framework to work off already. Try, scale, pass. I try things before I learn them. I like to learn hands-on. That's one thing about me is I hate learning things that I might not use. So I like to learn it while I'm using it. Scale is while I'm trying something, I'm always thinking about how it can scale. And then pass is, as soon as I've got it down, I pass it because I want to focus on the next thing. I'm bored of it.
As you were building your digital resource, and as you're running it right now, I know that self-sufficiency is a big, important thing for you. Talk to me about what creative processes or what creative methodologies you have built to really provide value, because as an agency, it's difficult, right? You're competing with other agencies. The marketplace is constantly changing. The technologies are changing. The channels are changing. How do you maintain all of this, and how do you create those, let's say, trade secrets or methodologies or processes? Is it complex or is it really basic?
There's some things that are basic and there's some things that are complex. I mean, some of it's just caring enough to look at the data and make changes based on that data and try new tools and say, hey, this is going too slow, or this isn't getting good enough results, or we need better design. Some of it's just like literally as simple as taking the time to make things better. And some things are more complex. Like we do something that's an AI video shoot where we'll just get a handful of assets from a client and we'll use AI to build a video. And if we didn't know about that technology and didn't do the research and didn't learn how to use it and know what kind of assets we need to build, et cetera, we wouldn't be able to have that offering. So, I mean, that kind of goes back to time too, but also goes back to the willingness to innovate. So I think there's two sides of the coin, but I think that most businesses think that innovating and changing, getting better is complex, when most of it is just taking the time to focus on it.
If I ask you 1 to 3 mistakes that you think business owners make, the business owners that you service, and also your friends, you have you have a good network of people, you converse with a lot of different people in the agency world as well as in the business world. What do you see those mistakes as, especially from a growth or scalability standpoint?
Number 1 is the wrong people. Number 2 is the wrong processes. And number 3 is not having goals or goals that are trackable. That's what I see as the problems. Most businesses I work with, people are bad on the phones, or they don't know how to present treatment, or they don't know how to sell, or they don't have great customer service. And a lot of that, and this kind of goes vice versa, or goes both ways, is they don't have processes. They don't have SOPs. Like, how should they be acting on the phone? What should they be saying? How does treatment get presented? How quickly should you respond to a lead? Like, they don't have the processes to make the people better either. And then the third is, a lot of them, again, are day-to-day running their businesses. What's the big picture? What's the medium-sized picture? What's the small picture? Like, what are the milestones that we're looking to achieve? Because that'll help you create the SOPs. They'll help you put the right people in place. But those are the 3 pillars.
I know you work very hard. Again, like you said, you can do 20, 25 meetings on a daily basis, which is crazy. I remember seeing your calendar once. It made my head spin. I can't do the sales calls that you're doing every half an hour, back-to-back, 10, 15 calls. How has this crazy schedule, as well as your mind going 100 miles an hour, how has this affected your personal life?
I have a lot of fun. I do. But it takes me a while to disconnect to have that fun. So over the last 10 years, I've taken 1 vacation that's been longer than 4 days. And that was last year. I'm taking another one in 2 weeks, so I'm stressed a little bit now. So it's limited me from seeing the world. It's when I have taken vacations and they're 4-day vacations, it takes me 2 days to disconnect. And then by the time I get into it, then I'm stressed because it's almost at the end and the work's coming back and I'm behind. It has made it so I have to travel a lot for not fun, like for work. And it's limited my personal relationships. It's limited my ability to kind of do things on the fly, unplanned. My family makes a joke, like, if we want to do something next summer, put it on Shay's calendar now. My friends do the same thing. Hey, we try all the time. So me having like a free weekend is rare, and that it definitely makes your life very planned, which is great in some ways, especially for business. But for non-business, it can definitely hurt your life being that planned, especially when the average person is not that planned. So when you're trying to plan like that, they think you're a little weird.
Anybody that comes to me and asks, how did you do it? How did you build the business? What can I do, or what should I do? What path should I take if I want to build my own business, or if I want to run my own business? I always tell them the same thing. I say, beware what you wish for, first of all, because it's not as easy as you think it is. There is no magic stick where you start getting rich. You know all those courses, the $20, $90 courses online. Oh, here's how I made $1 million from Airbnb in 6 months bullshit. So if I asked you for advice for somebody who is trying to do it, I already know what you're gonna say. It's a lot of work. You have to sacrifice a lot. What would your advice for them be, number one? Number two, do you think there is work-life balance as you're trying to build something substantial?
So number one, what advice do I have? Be a great networker and be organized. And be organized is a very general, vague comment, but take it extremely literally. Know how to block schedule. Know how to create to-do lists. Know how to check things off. Know how to prioritize. Like real organization. If someone pulled up their calendar, if someone wanted to be a business owner, I would say pull up your calendar, show me your calendar. If I didn't see their calendar in active use, that's a clear sign that there's going to be trouble. Like you have to know how to use a calendar efficiently and a to-do list. Is there such a thing as work-life balance? Absolutely not. That's a joke. Your business is your life. And can you get to a place where it's less of your life? Yes, but it's always going to be your life. And for business to be really successful, it has to be the primary in your life.
Mm-hmm. And I've done some videos on this. I actually really believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, if you're not an owner or an operator that does not know every aspect of your business, I don't think you're going to be in business in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Just because details started mattering so much with technology, AI, now robotics, right? We have this initiative where we say adapt or die. Like you have to adapt as a business owner. Working in the industry that you work in, which is, could we say medical practices?
Healthcare. We do like health and wellness, medical.
What do you see in that industry? Do you think it's going to get more difficult? Do you think it's going to get easier for them? Do you think that business owners are disconnected? Do you think that the team members, and you can answer any one of these questions in any format, we have employees, we work with team members. The one question I get is, the 4-day a week is a beautiful idea, 4-day work weeks, right? What do you say to that when people tell you, I want a work-life balance and I don't want to really spend so much time on my business and I want to take 2 vacations a year and I want to work 4 days a week? What is the first reaction that you would give to somebody that says those things?
It's not for you. It's not for you. I haven't even read the 4-hour work week because I think it's ridiculous. If you can do all your work in 4 hours, go do more work. Go build more businesses. So you had a lot of questions there. I think I might have lost them. But ultimately on that last one, your business is going to be ingrained into your life and you want to be doing it. And if you don't want to be working your business, you're probably not passionate enough about that business to be opening in the first place. And you had brought up like the healthcare space that we're in. It's growing, but I think there's going to be new like pieces in it. Like Stretch Zone is a client of ours. Like assisted stretching was new, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And now there's like so many companies that do it. But now I go to like a place that has like cryotherapy and a hyperbaric chamber and a red light sauna. That's pretty new, but that's starting to get crowded. So I think they're going to find new things in the healthcare space, the health and wellness space, to like be interesting for a handful more years. But also the problem is that everyone wants to be healthy, but not enough people want to work in the healthy environment. So staffing is really hard in these places, especially when you're trying to market to the general public for a service that's not covered by insurance for these like other healthcare type things, and you have to keep expenses low from like an overhead standpoint. That's employee pay. Employee pay is rising. Economics are not getting good as far as cost of living, so the price that you can charge is going down. Healthcare is getting more and more tough. I think it still has a little bit of a run, but it's definitely getting tough on all angles.
I want to pivot a little bit. You've built this business. You have close to 100 employees now, over 100?
130.
130 employees. Running and growing this business for the past 10 years. What do you think is the biggest perk that you get to have?
Biggest perk that I get to have? I don't know that there's big perks. There's small perks. Okay. Maybe I'm not recognizing the big perk. Small perk is I can work with who I want to work with. I don't have to. I was just talking to someone on the way here actually about this who's building their business. Once you get to a certain point, like He stopped taking shit from clients, so I can work with who I want to work with. At this point, you know, I can take a little bit more time off. I do get respect for the business that I built, which is really nice, of course. I put a lot of hard work in. It's nice for that to be recognized. And obviously, there's, you know, a pretty good financial upside of running a business of this size and continuing to grow it, and especially for all the people that we employ too. We get to help a lot of families and make them successful. And so while we have 130 employees, we probably touch 300 people, maybe more, as far as with the revenue that the company brings in and how it's disseminated down to the team.
Are you doing this for money?
I think all businesses have to be done for money in one way or another, but it depends on those goals. I have to tell you, when I started digital marketing, I had two goals. One was a financial goal, and one of them was a goal to be the biggest marketing agency in the world that could service small and medium-sized clients who couldn't afford to go work with the big agencies. So it was twofold. But I think that every business owner has some sort of financial goal, because that's why they're working so hard.
I know you're really into technology. You just mentioned the tool that you use that takes the video footage and puts out an AI video, right? And we use similar technologies for development and for design. I was just reviewing something for doing design mockups, for example, an AI tool for doing design mockups. And I'm always looking at these, you're always looking at this, because the concept of agency is you want to get more efficient and you want the same thing to cost less so that you can compete against your competitors that are coming into the market by the thousands, right? So when you consider all of that, what do you think the future holds for, I don't even want to say agency, service-based businesses, and the teams and the staff, the talent that works on service-based consulting? Where do you see this going? Do you think it's going to get harder? Do you think it's going to get easier? Do you think that more people are going to lose their jobs because of AI? Where do you see the future?
The people who like to just like throw creative ideas out there and see if they stick, that's not going to fly. It's going to be about data. It's going to be about implementing a technology. It's going to be about innovation. You know, the people in my company that have the hardest time right now are the people who are what we call purists. You know, they want to build the logo from scratch. They want to design the website from scratch. They want to cut the video up themselves. And it is a lot on the creative side, because I get the purist side of it. They got into this in the age of purism. And we can't sell that as agency owners. We can't sell purist like work at our level. You know, if we're working with Coca-Cola, et cetera, are they going to keep that around for a while? Yeah, they're going to keep that around for quite a lot longer than we are. But we're working with small, medium-sized businesses that need a great product at a great price. And getting efficient on our end is how we're going to maintain that pricing structure. And so the people who are willing to innovate, step away from the past, and look at the data as far as the economics of an agency are the people who are going to do well in an agency. And when you put it in the service-based world, you know, all the technology that we're using is going to be used in the service-based world in various areas, and it's going to be the same thing. Who's willing to learn and adapt the technology?
I'm going to tell you this, and I know you're going to laugh about this too. If I go to my business analyst, or if I go to my senior engineer, and I say, I need this done, this website done, they're going to build out a really nice mock-up. They're going to build out a really nice execution plan. They're going to say, ETA is 90 days. You and I, we can get that site overnight. We can build that website overnight.
Oh, yeah.
We're not developers. We're not coders. We're not website designers. And I tend to agree with you, because we do videos a lot. And one of the things that I say in all of those videos is the only weapon that you have as a small business owner or an entrepreneur that wants to innovate is the speed of your execution and the speed of your learning process and the speed of your productization and the speed in how you grow your processes to reach the objective that you have.
Bring it back to the beginning of our conversation. When I ran that landscaping company at 19 years old, I had a $2,000 spray painted blue pickup truck with the hood bungee corded down. When someone wanted a quote, I came same day. I delivered the quote that same night via email. And I promised the job would get done within 7 days. Duran, I was a 19-year-old with no experience with a spray-painted blue pickup truck, charging triple what the other real companies were charging because of the speed. Michigan summers, only 3 months. The quicker you got it done, the more beautiful your house was. Speed to it is what made me successful there.
How do you think you recognize that at a young age? What taught you that?
My mom was annoyed. She would call landscaping companies. They'll say, we'll come out in a month to give you a quote, and by then it'll be 3 more weeks. She's like, I gotta do it myself. And so I went to homes that were more expensive than my childhood home, and I could only imagine what those women of the house were thinking. They wanted it done yesterday. Yeah. And so it was speed. Speed is everything.
Productization. You saw the problem, you found a solution to that problem, you created the processes to solve that problem, and then you adjusted the speed and how fast you solve those problems, right? So going back to my conversation again, when you look at your team, when you look at other people that are working in those teams, do you think that the Generation Z, Gen Z, as well as who's been working, let's compare Gen Z and all the purists that we talk about, right? Do you think they'll be able to adapt to this?
If you asked me a year ago, I'd say no. I think that they are getting into the real world and getting enough experience in the real world where they're starting to change. I'm hopeful about it. I'm not sure. But it takes experiencing what you expect and not getting it to understand what you're also giving the world. Yeah. And I think they're getting there.
Yeah. And it's the same thing, right? Adapt or die. We had 4 copywriters 4 years ago. We don't have any copywriters today. AI writes the code. I actually got a request from one of the professors at FIU, at Florida International University. I taught a master's class long time ago, maybe a decade ago. And she came to me, and there's an initiative at FIU now where they're going to department leaders, and they're basically saying, give us courses for AI, course concepts for AI, and we're going to give you this grant. We're going to give you $12,000 of grant, and if your idea is good, we're going to actually open these non-credit courses. Have you heard about this?
No.
So the crazy thing is even the higher education institutions are recognizing the speed of how fast this is going to move, right? And the reason I ask you that question is I have similar challenges with technology and staff. We get ChatGPT Plus for every single team member. Every single team member has access to them. Every single team member has access to ChatGPT Plus. And also, we're basically asking for 1 process per week that you build, and I ask that you spend an hour on ChatGPT on a daily basis, because I feel like, full immersion is the solution to this. And this is one of the reasons that I ask that question. I feel like a lot of people are going to have a very difficult time finding jobs, keeping their professional jobs. It's not only innovation from a small business standpoint, but it's also, you have to innovate yourself in any career. It doesn't matter if you're an architect, interior designer, graphic designer, marketer, digital marketer. Digital marketing, I'm pretty sure you have 10 different types of digital marketers now. Let's touch on that really quickly. Like how, you start and you're like, okay, I need a marketing specialist. And now you have all these different specialists. Yep. Do you see that continuing?
100%. I think that it's going to continue to get more and more specialized, but it might start going the other way with AI. As a generalist can get specialized, it's just going to be about what happens first. But eventually with technology, it's going to go back where one person's doing everything. So I think it's going to keep being more and more specialized, and while everyone's specializing in their units, and then a generalist might be able to come back and say, okay, no, now I have all the tools to do this person's job. I have all the tools to do this person's job. So it's going to be like a little bit of a curve, I think.
We actually started hiring AI operators.
Interesting.
You're just going to work on AI. Here are the processes you're responsible for. You're not really a graphic designer. You are an AI graphic operator. Operator. Yeah, you're going to operate this AI that creates the graphics. Yeah. You're going to operate this AI that's going to create the videos, and here's the process, right? Talk about efficiency. We talked about processes growth. What is the next growth strategy for you? What is the next level that you need to get to?
At our level, there's really 2 things that make you more successful that you have to hurdle. One is building a sales team, and the other one is getting into acquisitions. We did an acquisition 2 years ago. It was very successful. Very happy on that one. So if we're going to continue to grow and go to 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, building a real sales team out that's larger than the one I have, and starting to acquire companies that get us either into other markets that we want to be in, vertical-wise, or get us into services that we don't offer, which is only a few, would be good fits for growth.
Now, you're great with sales. You're a sales machine, right? Why do you need to acquire other companies? Why can't you just grow this by selling more?
You could, but I can't sell more. I'm maxed out. I only have a certain amount of time in the day. I started going after bigger accounts, and that's helped me outsell my churn. But you can't just rely on number one person to be bringing it all in. I have another sales guy too, but I'm still majority of the sales. And then number two, it depends on how fast you want to grow. We're used to a good level of rapid growth, and with the churn percentage, kind of where it is, and with me bringing the sales, we could bring in a sales team, but acquisitions of smaller companies are great too. If I don't know what we're valued at, but let's say we're valued at 8x. If we bring a company at 2 or 3x, it's triple its value overnight. So it just adds and adds and adds. It's a lot of people assets we can bring into, like high quality people that we might not be able to get like locally or just to pull from there.
And do you feel like there's opportunity now in acquisitions for growth purposes?
For
More
sure.
opportunities now than we had a few years ago? And why is that?
I think it's been hot for a few years. I don't think it's too much different. I started seeing opportunities really get hot about a few years ago, right after COVID, especially when interest rates were really low. Everyone was selling because they were able to get good amounts because money was cheap. I'd say that there's less opportunities now, but better quality opportunities right now.
And Shay, you talk about talent. This is a big part of what we do, right? What we do is technical. It's important. Attention to detail matters in our line of business. You cannot miss a small pixel on a website, because if you miss that, that means that you don't get the data for the next 6 months, right? Yeah. Then the whole execution is useless. Talk to us about how you find this talent, how you train this talent, how you set that expectation for that talent.
Back in the early days, I had a lot of experience hiring, and I was hiring high school, college kids for blue-collar jobs, and just having to look them in the eye and see if they had like the guts and the grit to do the work. And I think that me understanding psychology, sales, people, and hiring for that hard labor position allowed me, when I first started my company, to literally look a person in the eye and know if they had what it took or not. Like, that was kind of my hiring process. Ask them a few questions: how'd they sit, how'd they talk, what was their tone of voice, were they telling me the truth, did I believe they had it in them, was like what I went off of. And I was extremely successful. Again, maybe lucky, maybe willing to take risks. But today, I haven't hired anyone myself in years. I leave it all to my team. But I'll say, like, the hardest part about scaling is those people you believed in the beginning, trusting that they're growing themselves in a way that's going to put them in a position for success in the future. Because let's say you make them a leader at 20 people. Are they still going to be a good leader at 50? Are they still going to be a good leader at 100? And I've, again, hired really great people who have gone from 5 to now 130 people and are at the top with me. But there's plenty of people who didn't make it as well. Number one, taking the time as an owner to coach those people is important. Number two, really recognizing who wants more out of life and who wants to grow is important. And not just grow the next level, but all the levels that are above it that you're going to need them for, a part of your plan. And number three, allow people to take risks and learn from it. We just hired a new front desk person the other day. First time we had to fill that position in years. One of our people got her dream job in a museum. And I let my team hire for that position. Again, we hadn't hired for it in years. There's not a lot of experience on that side. After like 24 hours, the role did not work out. Again, a very simple front desk role even. But allowing them to make mistakes and knowing why that didn't work and allowing them to go find that right person then is one small example of like just letting your team do and be. I could have said, hey, I'm going to hire for this role. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to help you out. But like, why didn't that work? Why do you think that was an issue? Helping them, coaching them through it so that they can be better for the future. Again, that's one small example that just happened. But like, if your people are going to be real leaders, they have to have the skills. Coach them through it, be curious, and help them understand what it takes to be in the next place that you want them to be in.
So be there if they need your assistance or your feedback, but don't micromanage the process. Would that be the message?
Yeah, let them do it. Let them fail. Let them fail.
When is it that you can't afford that margin of error of failure, in your opinion? How do you determine that margin of error? Because if they hire 10 people and 10 people don't work out, the process is broken. Now you got to go in and fix it. Has that ever happened?
Luckily, that hasn't. Knock on wood. But if when there's a failure, you should be coaching them through why it failed. And if you're coaching them through why they failed and they still continue to fail, it may be that person that is just not a fit for that success.
Yeah. You're talking about all of this stuff, right? You're talking about sales, you're talking about productization, innovation, team management, team coaching. When does all of this get overwhelmed?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
How do you manage that?
Focusing on the goals, focusing on the future, taking it one step at a time. You know, I'm overwhelmed every single day at some point or multiple points. Be grateful. Gratitude, no negativity can exist where there's gratitude. I learned that from a mentor of mine, and it's true. If you think about all the positive things going on, all the positive things in your life, everything that's good, negativity can't exist at the same time. So that helps level you, reset you. Focusing back on the future. Like, these are just small bumps. The bumps are going to be there. It's what you signed up for. On to the next. And when things don't work out, more things do than don't work out. And it's a numbers game. Life's a numbers game.
Oh, yeah.
Success is a numbers game.
Yep. You win some and then you lose some.
You just got to win more than you lose.
Win everything, right? Exactly. If you did not do this business, what would you be doing
10 years ago or today?
today?
Knowing what I know now, I would do nearshore staffing.
Why?
We have been extremely successful in bringing in Latin American talent into our company for a fraction of the cost, and sometimes at a higher skill set than we can even find in the United States. Where someone who'd cost $100K in the United States, I can find them for $30K, and they're better than the person for $100K in the United States. I love South America, love Latin America. I think it's really cool to be able to do that, number one, and give these people opportunities. Number two, again, it's very helpful for my business, for my bottom line. I think it's really cool to help other businesses do that too. So I would want to help others figure out a way to nearshore their teams. Ever since COVID, it became a trend. People just have had a hard time understanding how they could do it for their business in a lot of ways, but marketing was first because we've always been in it in a way, except we were more offshore than nearshore for a long time, working more in Southeast Asia, etc. But giving businesses an understanding that a lot of their roles can be remote, and because they experienced that through COVID, well, if you're willing to do it remote, why not remote nearshore now? So that, combined with AI, is the future for the next 4 to 6 years, in my opinion.
And how about client-facing? Because you're dealing with people who have accents, you're dealing with people who might not have great English.
Some don't, some do. So we nearshored in all of our departments except for client-facing, and we just started client-facing nearshoring a few months ago, and it's working out well.
Really?
Yeah, well, you have to think about this too, like, who are your clients? Like, we have a lot of clients in South Florida, so we can have someone with an accent because they expect it almost.
Yeah.
We tried to give someone with an accent to clients in Tennessee. That did not go well. Don't do that. But there's plenty of people in Central South America who speak perfect English, who have a great background, and you can nearshore even client-facing if you find the right person.
And how do you manage the control? How do you, you can't do that with marketing people, let's say, but if you're doing any kind of dev, any kind of designer, you got to give them access to the code, client's website or database. Do you run into those problems at all?
It's no different than someone working remote, though. The trust shouldn't be any different if you hire the right person. It's the same security parameters you have to have in place for a remote American as you do a remote non-American.
And you think that businesses overanalyze hiring offshore staff and team members? You think they overanalyze that process?
I think most businesses believe that they won't speak or write or do something in perfect English, or there'll be some type of miscommunication, or it'll be too difficult, that's not worth the money saved. But if they were to realize that they can get 80 to, if not 100% of what they want from an American offshore for a fifth of the price, I think they would think a lot differently.
And this is great. And I want to get one last suggestion or advice from you, but this time I'm going to ask for your guidance or advice for any future marketers. If you had to say a few words to future marketers or people who want to get into the marketing industry at any capacity that are going to be working in marketing for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, what would be your top advice for them?
We are no longer in the wild, wild west of marketing. Like, I was when I started, and you even before me, we're in the age of you have to know everything. There's no more guessing. So if you want to be in marketing, it's no more about testing and trying. It's about knowing and doing. And I suggest that you know the technology very well, you know the entire marketing landscape very well, you understand AI extremely well, and you surround yourself and your career with people who are innovating, because that's the only way that you're going to stay ahead in this industry now. We are in an aggressive industry. When we got in, it was fun. It's still fun, but like when we got in, it was wild, wild west. We made the rules. We're not making the rules anymore.
Who's making the rules?
AI is making the rules, Google's making the rules, Facebook's making the rules, and the rules are just getting tighter and tighter. You know, we are at the mercy of these platforms, where before we made these platforms.
So would you say innovation is sometimes finding a newer way of doing the same thing, or new technology? We're not really building technology anymore, right? We're just kind of like following, but we're creating new innovation from merging different technologies. Do you feel like innovation is even possible in this day and age?
I think it is, but you have to think a lot more outside the box than you used to. I just saw an ad last night for on Instagram. It was WeDon'tSellSpoons.com. It was a whole video ad about this pocket spoon, and all they talked about was not selling spoons. And I was like, what is this ad? I clicked on it, it goes to a landing page, and it says, we don't sell spoons. You want to know what we sell? Click this button. And it's for pocket knives. And that was innovation. They broke the Facebook algorithm. They had a beautiful video. They went to a landing page. They got around the no knife policy on Facebook ads. They mentioned Google and Facebook banning them on their landing pages in a way where like it wouldn't get picked up by them. That's one example of innovation, but like that's innovation. And that takes a lot of thinking and a lot of trying and a real want to be successful.
Well, Shay, that was great. Thanks for coming, and hopefully we're going to do this in a few years. Again, we're going to talk about the next innovation that you build in the near shore staffing.
That'd be great. Thanks for having me, Duran. It was really exciting to be here, and I hope to come back in a few years, talk some more.